I'm in good shape, my brother.
We thank God. Let's start the discussion, and I'm sure you'll be monitoring perhaps the language of even what the minister is saying as against what the other person who has spoken about this deal are saying. What do you think, first of all?
Well, I mean, there's a public conversation that is going on, first and foremost. And this lithium matter brings up a wider or larger issues about development. And in all these conversations, the most important things to focus on are the interests at stake. Now we have private interests and we have the collective. And if we miss that frame, then we are likely to get into all kinds of trouble. People can say that, oh, this deal is the best ever. And you ask, what is it measured against? I think that there's a saying that if you continue doing the same thing and expect different results, then you must be crazy or something like that. And what our problem has been, basically, is that through the course of enslavement and colonization, a small stratum of society has developed that benefits if the rest of us are shortchanged. So what belongs to all of us can be handed over to others for crumbs. And that is the model that we have been using, which is a model that underpins our collective impoverization. The more we work, the more we toil, the poorer we stay. So the first thing we should do is to identify the collective interest. Now, we have a model for approaching things that appears to have become a quote-unquote a national consensus, which says that whatever collective problem we have must be addressed through the prism of private interest. So, who says that this is the only way to proceed? For instance, I heard on another, I think there was a public lecture by Mr. Kwame Pieni, and I don't know whether it was him or somebody else who was saying that, look, let's take the issue of this lithium matter. It's a matter of investment, and it's a matter of risk. And saying that, look, for instance, why don't we ask as many Ghanaians as possible to subscribe to this risky venture? Because after all, we have to raise the money, not so. So, let's say everybody bring up 100 cedis. and let's get as many thousands of people as we can get around this idea. And you can raise the money. Technology, you can buy. Knowledge, you can buy. But the benefits, the profits, they stay here. I don't know whether you're following the drift of my argument.
Yes.
But someone says that, look, this is the only way it has been done. This is the only way we can do it. And when you marry that with this foolish idea that investors are foreigners, usually white-skinned people, then you are sitting here and waiting for investors. And just by the simple example I've just given, hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians come and are investors. It's really a question of the framework we decide to use. But over the last several decades, there's this stupid idea that, government has no business in business. I'm sure you've heard about it.
Very much so, every day.
Yes, it's complete and arrogant nonsense. Who says that? And why can't we use the power of government and putting the collective interest first? To say that, look, we're going to go into an investment, it is risky, we're not quite sure about the outcome, we don't have the money. But there are private individuals who have the money. But we form a collective, and everybody puts in, let's say, 50 cedis, the kind of money that people are willing to gamble on Lotto, for instance. And you can do that for any and every problem that we identify. That requires investment. As I said, you can buy management. You can buy expertise. You can buy technology. The frame of thinking and the arrangement of interests around the issue, which is really the problem.
So, what approach do you think is best under this arrangement? What should we be looking at beyond what is being told us?
So we start from the collective interest. What will profit the Ghanaian collective?
Radio Gold.
Let's start with the community in this particular area where this resource has been discovered. And then let's take it to the larger population of Ghana. What is the best way in which this thing can be exploited to our benefit? In a way that empowers us and does not impoverish and make us powerless and weak. It is really that simple. But you are dealing with the issue of private greed. And I don't know who first said it. There will never be enough for our greed. But there's always enough for our needs.
Ghana's gold. Radio
So I'll
gold.
say, start with a collective interest and let's have a conversation about the best way forward. But this prism that says that, look, every collective problem must be solved through private initiatives that brings private profit. It's crazy and stupid. And that is what's driving our impoverization.
So we should start from the basics, go back to the conversations, because as we speak now, what we are being presented with is an agreement reached between government and a company already.
Yes, it's fait accompli. It fits in part with how the MPP does its business. They start
Ghana's gold.
with the
Radio
beneficiary.
gold.
Then they work out the solution. Then they settle on the problem. Then when people start complaining, then they say, well, okay, then let's consult. Every time they set off with the cart well before the horse. So I can bet my head that the private interests around this thing have already been settled on. And the issue is how to convince and fool the rest of us to go along with it. That's all. So let's start with a collective interest. What will it that will benefit Ghanaians in general? Starting with Ghanaians in their locality and the rest of us. And let's work out framework and arrangements that will work for our collective benefit and progress.
But right now, the conversations are on taking to Parliament to ratify.
Well, Parliament may do something about it. Except that both parties in Parliament are wedded to this stupid idea that private interests must always take the lead. That is where the problem lies. Am I making sense, sir? So yes, you can go to Parliament. Well, we've had many examples where people who are coming to town, who have studied the geography and the geopolitics of this place, we set aside a fund to pay off the people in the legislature. I'm sure you heard about this famous case about, was it the Vodafone? No, I think it was the Ghana Telecom.
Yeah, it's the same. The sales of Ghana Telecom to Vodafone.
Yes. So there are models that people settle on. They put aside a few $1 million and trust to. The game is on. So Parliament may be a start, but it is severely limited. Because the prism within which we insist we must conduct our collective affairs is the problem. Collective problems must be addressed first from the point of view of collective profit and benefit. But if the interests of the collective are put to the background and private interests take the lead, you always get what is going on. It's that simple. It is that straightforward.
But in order for what you are proposing to work, because think about it, the minister, you have a belligerent minister who feels that nobody has presented a superior idea to him yet. You have a Minerals Commission CEO who takes offense to any criticism of the agreement. Now, at the head of all this is the president, who perhaps can say, put a stop to this, start from the ground up. But our president is not known to ever do that. So, how do we achieve what you are asking for?
Well, so it has to be our collective voices. Well, our president is a con man. He's operating this business for himself and for his associates, friends and family. Like I said, I'm sure that the beneficiaries,
Radio Gold.
I mean, not that they are yet to be identified. They have already been identified. They are all likely close to the president in one way or the other. And that is what will drive the belligerence of the minister and maybe the belligerence of his advisor. Private interest, that's all. So it's our collective voices that we must bring to bear. Maybe in the end, it requires a political vehicle different from all the kinds that you have. Ultimately, it requires political action.
Political action?
Yes. In essence, we must put our money where our mouths are. If we all think in this framework, if we are asking questions about what is in it for the collective of Ghanaians, and we are all pushing that, we have a political platform to raise those issues. Then it will resonate, there will be movement.
Protest
is just one element of that phrase. Protest is just one element. I'm saying that ultimately it requires political action. It requires a platform. It requires mobilization. It requires raising our voices and bringing it to bear.
I see. Doc, thank you very much for joining us.
A pleasure.
Dr. David Pessy is the student of history and politics, and the quote he's looking for is supplied by Mr. Henry Kojo Agbai, who says the quote is that the nation has enough resources for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. For everyone's need, but not for everyone's